I don't want to get people too scared though, right? You could listen to this and say, oh my gosh, my kids are going to get abducted. People are going to find me. They're going to see everything in my house. What message do you have to people that are maybe will help them get out of that feeling of leaving this thinking everything's coming to an end? I should turn off all my technology and never leave the home.
Well, interestingly enough, I've had someone say, well, thank you, Adam. Now that I've listened to you speak, I'm going home. I'm going to disconnect everything. I'm going to burn off my fingerprints and I'm going to hide under my mattress. I said, but you can't do that. I mean, unless you're living under a bottle cap at the bottom of Loon Lake and you're completely off the grid, which nobody is, you're out there. So the question is just be alert, know what the threats are, know what the red flags are, and then practice, for example, the 3 M's. Do everything you can to minimize your risk of exposure. Like, for example, when you get a new Internet of Things device, which most things are these days, change the password. Most of them come with manufacturer default passwords, and probably 98% of those passwords are for sale on the dark web. So change the password to something long and strong. Just read the manual. It'll tell you how to do it. Just like when you get your router in, make sure that the password is what you want it to be, not what someone else wants it to be. And make it as complex as possible, or use a password manager to help you with the whole thing. It's really all about 2 things that people have to understand. Number 1, we all have day jobs. We work, we raise families, we're involved in educational activities, philanthropic activities, we own companies, we're busy. That keeps us excited, interested, but also diverted. And to a hacker who's not diverted, we are their day job. This is what they do. And in some countries, they come in at 8, they have their lunch break, they go home at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a job, and they're working for the government. That's how they raise money. That's how they conduct espionage. Others work around the clock and do what they do, but it is their day job. And the second thing to understand is when you look in the mirror, you see you. And you go, why would anyone in the world want to steal my identity? Why would anyone care? And the answer is simple. You see you, but when they see you, a hacker, a scammer, an identity thief, they see Jay-Z, Beyonce, Adam Levine. They see somebody who's got something they want that can enrich their lives. Or, and this is not to offend anyone, it's not you they're after, but it's your spouse, your child, your parent, an organization that you're involved with, a company that you work for. And you are simply the conduit to get them to whoever or wherever they want to get to. So this is why it's extremely important that you really focus on cyber hygiene. Just like you go to doctors, you go to dentists, you do things that you do to stay healthy. You have to maintain a healthy cyber environment because you're protecting yourself, your family, possibly your company, your coworkers, and millions of innocent consumers that may be doing business with your company. There was a concept that was raised a couple of years ago by the CEO of Microsoft, and I think he was dead right. It's called shared responsibility. It's that we know that business hasn't done enough, we know that government hasn't done enough, and we know consumers haven't done enough to protect each and every one of us from the ravages of cyber issues or identity theft or ransomware. And each of us has a role to play. And with consumers, we didn't ask for it. We're not trained for it. And it's certainly not something we want, but it's a reality of where we are, what we do, who we are, and the world we live in. And therefore, it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to do our part, because we could be protecting a whole lot more people than just ourselves by doing the right thing when it comes to cybersecurity. But it's not something that you need to be terrified of, because it's reality. You're not going to escape it. So as a result, it's a question of, just like they say with COVID, we got to live with it. So when it comes to cybersecurity, we have to live with it. It is not an individual sport. It is a group sport. It's team. And in addition to which, you can't take a victory lap for cybersecurity because you can be completely secure at 9 o'clock in the morning and suddenly exposed at 9:01 because somebody clicked the wrong link, opened the wrong attachment, gave the wrong information to somebody. So if we kind of stick together, work with each other, collaborate, communicate, cooperate, we're going to be better off for it. And I think there's a much more collegial attitude now that it comes to cybersecurity than ever before.
And like you said earlier, with all of the information out there, it's only a matter of time before someone decides to pick you as a target.
That's right. You win the lottery, one you didn't even enter.
Yeah, but I'd say if you can make yourself a harder target by doing a lot of the stuff we talked about today, then you just move yourself further and further down that list where someone says, this person's information isn't very easy to find online. Let's just skip to the next person where their address takes me a second to find. So
it's like the whole issue. If you're a burglar, do you break into the house where there's no dog, or one where there is a dog where you might not be sure that you're going to come out with both legs? So, it's important to do that. And a very important rule of thumb, anytime that anybody contacts you about anything and asks you to authenticate yourself for any reason, however plausible or logical it is, hang up. It's one thing if you contact them and they're an organization trying to do the right thing and they're asking you to authenticate yourself. But if they contact you, no good.